This last Wednesday on my way to therapy, I bought my last pack of cigarettes. $19 and change. I muttered, "That's intense," to the cashier, and they muttered back, "Yep." I started smoking cigarettes when I was not yet 13, the summer of 1993. I used to say that I was born to smoke, and I have a slideshow of primal scenes to accompany that narrative. I have written odes to smoking sections, love letters to the humans I always find there. I have so many daily routines, and I tend to so many relationships in the course of procuring, sharing, and enjoying cigarettes. I find so much peace in the practice of smoking tobacco, being wordlessly with my relatives, human and otherwise. It's been 3 years since I started having serious conversations with God about what the fuck it is that I'm doing here. These conversations involved a lot of profanity and gnashing of teeth. When I conceded to the need for healing and started slowing down, I started to hear the heartbreaking resonance between my "I was born to smoke" and my mother's "I deserve to drink." The primal abandonment wound wherein my mother and I, for discoverable reasons, convinced ourselves that we were put on this earth to suffer. Her in her spectacular fashion, myself in withdrawn and occluding shadow. It is the drama of my life that I never believed myself, my mother, that she deserved to drink. I always believed that she deserved healing and to lay down in green pastures, as the prayer says. She would snarl when such a thing were suggested. "Mind your business. I know how to take care of myself." So, emerging from a deep nap of the soul, cranky and uncomfortable, with the congestion and nausea of my body's miraculous capacity for convalescence. Just a side note, the first 10 days after quitting smoking cigarettes were some of the most surreally gross of my life. I am surrendering to this terrifying reprogramming. I was not born to suffer. I get to choose healing. I get to choose laying down in green pastures. I get to trust that my entire life is not reducible to an elaborate trauma response, and that I will be held, even if everything I think I understand about the web of mutuality unravels as I release my white knuckle grip. So, I read this all again, all the way through, with a difference. September 23rd, 2022. Resmaa Menakem says that trauma in a person decontextualized over time looks like personality, and wow, do I feel that. Decontextualized over time, my personality looks like a steely, merciless, efficient machine that can carry exponentially heavier burdens than her weight and size suggest. Decontextualized over time, I am an ant, wordless and committed. Folks want to study me, pick my brain, see how I do it. Buried beneath my burdens, I am a terrified and anxious little girl, hiding and fleeing and making herself as small as possible to dodge blows, evade the retaliation of other people's cognitive dissonance, and make it so hard to reach me that only epic heroes can find their way into my actual real life. A word to the wise. Epic heroes are a figment of our traumatized imaginations. Some people know that I'm pretty superstitious. I make wishes on clock times, angel numbers, 1111, 444, 1234, heads up pennies on the ground, hay trucks, yellow lights. It's a way of weaving my at times outlandish desires into the mundane coincidences that keep me swinging from branch to branch in the handle-it canopy of my life. Making wishes is another way I handle it. Lately, instead of wishing for things or people or circumstances that I'd like to see, I've started wishing for clarity. As ever, I was not entirely prepared for my wishes to come true. The branches of my handle-it canopy started breaking, and me-sized holes appeared in my net as I fell, dropping into depths I never wanted to revisit. I'm afraid of heights, and I think for good reason. Falling is by definition uncontrollable. I don't know where I'm going to land. I don't know which parts of me are going to break. I don't know if I will just blink out of existence with a splat. I used to have my feet on the ground, and now I just keep climbing. I don't look down as a rule. But the other day I chanced a glance, and damned if there wasn't a few thousand fathoms between me and a ground I can't see. I built a canopy, a net in the treetops, and I didn't know that I was doing that. And now I don't know how to get closer to the ground without falling. Falling is different from sinking. Falling through air is frenetic, our limbs are too free. Sinking, the water envelops you. The swaddle is suffocating, to be sure, but you are wrapped up and held. When you breathe in the water, everything stops, everything becomes water. Everything is quiet. You need air to make sound, and you need air to hear them. We aren't built for hearing things underwater. What we hear is our own blood and the heart pumping it through our veins with a relentless optimism. This is a quote from Soren Kierkegaard. If I am capable of grasping God objectively, I do not believe. But precisely because I cannot do this, I must believe. If I wish to preserve myself in faith, I must constantly be intent upon holding fast the objective uncertainty so as to remain out upon the deep, over 70,000 fathoms of water, still preserving my faith. God and I have been having words lately, mostly me asking why I'm being asked to give up all these strategies, distractions, and constellations that I have carried with me this far. God tells me this is the basket that kept me safe on the river without anyone, that these are the waters that carried me along, and that these are the tall grasses that kept me hidden from prying eyes. I typically roll my eyes at this point because I have not known safety from prying eyes in particular. God pulls Vanna White and gestures to me, standing knee-deep in the river, towering over the tall grasses, with a tiny, worn and tattered basket trailing awake as I hold it there with my 6-inch biceps, not letting it go with the current. God says to me, "You don't need this anymore. Let it go." Okay. Thanks.